Well, you could have been drinking coffee at 6. I mean, come on, I was.
Welcome to the Exploring Washington State podcast. Here's your host, Scott Cowan.
My guest today is Cody Clark. Cody is, I'm reading your job description here, so you're going to correct me, but Cody, your guys' website, oh, by the way, he's with Coffee Oasis. Cody Clark with Coffee Oasis. Cody is the Kitsap County Community Development, Business Partners, and Corporate Sponsors.
Yeah, so
they didn't put barista or bottle washer there. What do you do?
So my position is I'm the Kitsap County Community Development Lead for business partnerships and corporate sponsorships. And so for me, really, my job is building relationships with local businesses. One of the things that I am super passionate about is not only giving back to our community, but also being a part of our community. And our mission statement is restoring communities through compassionate youth programs and coffee business. And I think in order for us to restore community, we have to be a part of that community. And so as a nonprofit, we have to fundraise. We lean heavily on people in our community to help make the work we do happen. Again, fundraising through individuals, through churches and civic clubs and businesses. And my job is to get businesses involved with Coffee Oasis, but also figuring out ways for businesses or for Coffee Oasis to support local businesses. Which has been absolutely amazing. This role hasn't really existed. We've kind of we've redone the layout of community development for the Coffee Oasis a few times, and this was one specific area that we definitely could see needed to grow. Figuring out how to get businesses involved, because. Mm-hmm. As a local business, as a business that started right here in Kitsap County 24 years ago, we couldn't have done what we are able to do without people supporting us, including businesses. And now it's our turn to continue that involvement, right? Really being intentional in those relationships and making sure that the businesses around us know that we're here to support them just as much as they're here to support us.
So you said something, Coffee Oasis has been around about 24 years.
Yeah.
Even with your big beard, you weren't there at the very beginning. So
no, I was
how long
6
have you
years
been
old
with Coffee Oasis?
So I was 6 years old when the Coffee Oasis started.
Well, you could have been drinking coffee at 6. I mean, come on, I was.
I was not a huge coffee fan until high school. So no, I have been with the Coffee Oasis for 2.5 years. But I will say, it took me a while to get here. I have known for a while that I wanted to be here. I wanted to work for this organization. I worked for another local nonprofit, in direct care, working with kids and youth in our area. And, in that time, in the almost 10 years that I was there, multiple times I applied for jobs here and tried to get in here, and was lucky enough that I had multiple interviews and got to know a lot of the people here. And so another huge fun fact, the Coffee Oasis means a lot to me. Aside from the work we do, I actually proposed to my wife at the Port Orchard Coffee Oasis, which was amazing. And then a few months later, she actually ended up working there as a barista, which was all kind of random happenstance. And from there, my wife got into working in youth programs, and now she manages our housing program here in Kitsap County for Coffee Oasis. And then like I said, it took forever for me to get here, and here I am. I get to be a walking billboard for Coffee Oasis and telling people about what we do and who we are. And I very much love the organization that I work for.
Well, that's kind of a cool backstory. Proposing to your wife in a coffee shop.
Yeah.
I don't know that I've ever heard that one before. I applaud you. That's I like that.
Thank you.
I think that's cool.
Yeah.
Let's talk. Let's see which direction we want to go. All right. Since you're the outreach guy, give our audience a bit of the backstory of how Coffee Oasis came into being 24 years ago. And as we go from the origination to where we are today, let's carry forward a little bit and go, what does the future look like? What's the roadmap? So how did Coffee Oasis get started? Yeah. So in 1996, Dave and Cindy Frederick, were missionaries in the Philippines. They, as a family, multiple members of their family got sick. And so it was Dave and Cindy and I believe their 3 children, in the Philippines. And they had no option but to come back. They needed medical attention that they could only get here. And so they did. They ended up right back here in Kitsap County. And, Dave then started looking for work. He was a pastor of Lincoln Avenue Bible Church here in Bremerton. And then while doing that, he also was a chaplain for the Bremerton Police Department. So he'd go on ride-alongs. He'd go with, police officers in the middle of the night and drive around, and he would just see youth, tons of youth on the street late at night during the week. And he felt a stirring. He felt a calling to do something about that. And so some time goes by, and Dave ends up stepping down from his pastoral role at that church, and felt like it was time to take the next step in making that calling happen. And so they ended up borrowing some money from their parents. Both families, or both people, borrowed money from their parents, and they bought a little tiny coffee shop called the Coffee Oasis that was not doing well. The owners were getting ready to shut down. And the ironic part is Dave and Cindy didn't drink coffee. They didn't like coffee. This was just the step in the right direction for them. And so the funny part is they then had to start learning about coffee, right? They started learning how to pull good shots. They had to learn all of these different things and what running a successful coffee shop looks like. And so in that, they started doing what they would call teen night. And so on Friday nights, youth would come in off the street and they'd have a place to hang out. Dave would go to what was called Smoker's Corner here in Bremerton, which is where all the kids would go and hang out and smoke. And it was a random street corner, and would invite them to come back. He would invite them to come, have a place to be warm, have a place to feel cared for. And in this, the vision was always a shelter. The vision was always, the hope, the goal, the vision, the calling was always opening a youth specific shelter. And so the amazing thing is here we are, that one small cafe led into where we are now, where we later on bought a different building here in Bremerton. So they moved. It's a much bigger building. And then as that happened, they really started to develop different programs. We expanded. And so the really cool part is we also then bought our very own coffee roaster.
And so we have a Dietrich coffee roaster, which is really big, really expensive, and really amazing. And so it led us to starting to roast our own coffee. We get coffee imported from all over the world, delivered right to our doors here in Bremerton. It's crazy how many bags come in on that pallet. It's absolutely insane. And it gets roasted right here in Bremerton at our Burwell location here in Bremerton. And then from there, our youth programs really started to take off. And so the really cool thing with that is our model kind of formed into what it is now, where the profit from our coffee and our cafes directly support the work that we do with youth ages 13 to 25. And so it kind of just morphed little by little. It started out with opening a drop-in center, having a place for youth to come hang out from 2 to 5 p.m. Monday through Friday, and then holding late night, which kind of morphed from teen night. And in that, being able to start other programs, how do we get youth to know who we are and what we're doing? Well, we form an outreach position. And so we started what we were calling Street Hope at the time. And so what that looked like is Daniel Frederick, Dave's son, started Street Hope and was now able to go into schools. He was able to go to the streets. He was able to find the youth where they were at, let them know who we are and that there's a place for them to be. And we started seeing youth come. And as a faith-based nonprofit, we started to see a lot of following from the community. Churches were stepping in and they were saying, how can we get involved? We were seeing involvement from businesses wanting to donate food, wanting to get involved and help teach life skill classes. We really saw the community coming around us. And so from there, we started other youth programs. So where we're at now is, we have a job internship and job training program where youth work to do 100-hour internship. And before that, they go through job training classes to learn what it's like to write a resume, do mock interviews, to, learning the responsibility of showing up to work on time, all of these different things, really to help them be successful and find a job. We have a housing program now in, I want to say it was 2014. We were able to open the only youth specific shelter here in Kitsap County. No, I don't think it was 2014. I don't remember what year it is, but we were able to open the only youth specific shelter here in Kitsap County, and that shelter holds youth ages 16 to 20, where they can come in and have a place to sleep at night. We have a 6-bed shelter that, again, if youth need a place to stay, they have to call in, go through intake paperwork, and all of that. And they have 150 days in the shelter. That is an overnight specific shelter. So they can only come in from 9 p.m. to 8 a.m. And then at 8 a.m. they have to leave. But the hope is they have the place that they can feel safe, that they can sleep, that they can rest and have a home in when they are here. We still have drop-in centers. That's huge. It's an amazing way to connect with youth. We have outreach still. So we still have staff on the streets going into schools, trying to reach youth where they're at to help them kind of realize who we are, what we're doing, and where we're at. And then figuring out how to help them get resources. Our drop-in centers have clothing closets. They're able to get the things they need there. They can shower, they can do laundry. And then We have a crisis services program. And this program is amazing because we have a text line that youth can text in 24 hours a day and speak to a caring adult, whether they're a trained staff member or a trained volunteer, and help them talk through their emotions, help them kind of process what's going on in their lives and why they feel the way they feel. We've experienced a lot of healing come from our crisis line and helping youth get the resources and communication they need when experiencing crisis. I want to make sure that I hit all of the programs.
So you guys are doing a lot.
Yes. Yeah.
That's a lot.
It is a lot. And there's not, I completely forgot. So the other couple of things that we do, case management. Case management's really huge. Youth come in and they have the ability to meet with the case manager and set goals. The goals can range from getting a job to, finding stable housing, to going back to school, to starting college, whatever that looks like. And, really working with them to reach those goals that'll help them move forward in life. And then, with that too, finding a mentor. We have people in our community who come in to meet with our youth and help mentor them. Our case managers often mentor youth and kind of help them see the things they need to do to move forward. And so it's really amazing to have comprehensive wraparound services in the a lot of programs we have, right? It's not one thing. All of our programs wrap around our youth to help them continue to move forward. And so that's the amazing thing, because we have lots of organizations where we're at that do maybe one of those things or two of those things. Whereas we have the full wraparound, which I think makes us truly unique in what we do and how we do it.
Approximately how many youth are you guys working with at any given time?
So I can tell you that in 2021, so far, I believe the number that's come into our doors, in our 4 different locations now, because we're in Bremerton, Paulsbo, Port Orchard, and Kingston, is almost 2,000 youth.
Oh.
Yeah.
It's a lot of kids.
It is. And
they're not just kids. I mean, youth, but
yeah. Well,
it's a lot.
And on average, there's about 40,000 homeless youth in the state of Washington. There's only, I believe there's only 7 youth specific shelters in the state. And not only do we operate in Kitsap County, we also operate in Pierce County now as well. We have a shelter out there, and we're working to get a cafe and a drop-in center and that kind of, everything else out there. But so out of that,
whereabouts in Pierce County?
In Tacoma. Yeah. So out of the 7 specific youth specific shelters in this state, we operate 2 of them.
And all of this, I mean, I'm being a little glib, but all of this one cup of coffee at a time. I know that's totally discounting your community partners and all that. So, but this is coming out of an organization that sells coffee.
Yeah. So,
that's awesome.
Yeah. And in reality, being the Pacific Northwest, coffee is everywhere. I mean, Starbucks started here. Coffee is everywhere. But I think when you find an organization that not only does all of the things we do for youth, for our youth in our areas, but when you find an organization that on top of that makes roasts ethically sourced coffee, coffee grown with organic practices, I think that you really find something special, right? Because our slogan used to be real coffee, real hope. And I absolutely loved that, because not only are you providing hope for youth in our areas when you support the Coffee Oasis, but our coffee does that too. I think it's absolutely amazing that every time I go spend, $1.50, $2, $3, $4 at the coffee shop, whether it's on coffee or food, all of the profit from that goes directly to supporting the work we do with youth. And let me tell you, there's literally nothing better than coming into work and smelling the coffee and knowing that like the coffee being roasted right now legitimately is going to help youth in Kitsap thrive.
So I used to work for Starbucks Coffee 20 plus years ago. And I was in their IT department. So I worked in the corporate headquarters. And are you aware of where the Starbucks corporate headquarters is? That giant building down south of downtown in Tacoma. It's massive. It's like 600,000 square feet.
It's huge.
It's the old Sears building. So on one of the floors, they had a coffee roaster, and it was there. It worked. Don't get me wrong. The coffee roaster worked, but it wasn't a production roaster. Yeah. And I will tell you that I love coffee.
Okay.
But one of the worst smells in the world is burned coffee beans. When the batch goes bad, and one day somebody was using that roaster and they burned a batch of beans, and every floor stunk. It was so bad. So I'm wondering, not to put you guys on the spot, but not every batch of coffee goes well. Mistakes happen.
Mistakes do happen. I will say, as far as I know, they're few and far between for us. The other thing is, burnt coffee. To be honest, to me, burnt coffee smells like burnt toast. It is not a pleasant smell. But it's not. But when you're walking in our parking lot and you can and you get that, I don't know, it's like almost like baked goods. You can smell it from a mile away, and that's it's like it's such a it's such an experience to be in our parking lot and be like, okay, I know they're roasting today. Yeah,
and that's amazing when coffee's being roasted and not ruined.
Yes.
The smell of freshly roasted coffee is absolutely one of life's little pleasures.
I totally agree. In
my opinion. I love it. Yeah. Well, let's we'll come back. I know we're going to come back to these stuff, but let's grind our gears and let's talk about coffee for a second.
Yeah.
When I talk to guests, I always ask the guests, where they go for coffee. And I know your answer is going to be Coffee Oasis. Yeah. So we're not going to ask you that question.
Okay.
What is the coffee drink of choice for you? What's your go-to coffee drink?
So I'm very much a person that drinks specific drinks in specific seasons. Now, when I say that, I'm not like a pumpkin spice person. I'm not an eggnog latte person.
Thank you.
But I do drink different drinks in different seasons. Excuse me. In the winter, I will say, if I want something sweet, a white chocolate peppermint mocha is absolutely amazing. But I will also say that my really kind of my main go-to is also a traditional macchiato. Couple of shots, a little bit of foam, tiny sippable drink, very bold, very powerful. Helps wake you up in the morning. I absolutely love it. None of the, caramel macchiato latte things that Starbucks does, but a traditional Italian macchiato. In the summer,
Okay.
I am all about ice drinks, but my favorite is cold brew. I can drink an absolutely unhealthy amount of cold brew. So much so that my anxiety's off the,
Wait, there's no such thing. There's no such thing as an unhealthy.
Okay. Well,
there's no such thing as an unhealthy amount of cold brew. Just
for somebody,
it's quackery, man. You can drink as much as you want.
For somebody that has some anxiety issues, I mean, it can be a little unhealthy. But
I don't mean to laugh at your anxiety. That's not what I mean.
No, it is funny because I'll be sitting at home after working all day and sitting on the couch and kind of shaking, and my wife will look at me and be like, "Are you okay?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I'm really anxious right now, and I don't know why." And she goes, "Yeah, you also won't stop moving. How many cold brews did you have? 12?" She goes, "Oh, yeah, that's why." It's really hard. So for the first, I don't know, 2 or 3 months that I worked here, I spent a lot of time working out of the cafe, sitting at a table with my computer, sending emails, making phone calls. And I was drinking 12 shots of espresso before noon on a daily basis. Because I could. It wasn't an issue. I have since had to kind of scale it back a bit, knowing okay, I would rather make sure that I get to sleep tonight. I would rather make sure that I'm not anxious for, the next 35 days. And so now, I'll have a coffee when I get here. I'll drink some drip, and then maybe I'll have a macchiato or something later in the afternoon. But, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I've really had to scale it back a bit.
So, well, yeah, I might have met my equal for coffee consumption with those stats. Those are pretty impressive stats.
Yeah.
I'm on your website and I'm looking at the coffees that you guys sell by the bag. Putting you on the spot.
Yeah.
Do you have a favorite?
Oh, I have
coffee that you guys do.
I have 2 go-tos that are year round, and I have one that's seasonal. So the 2 year round, I absolutely love our Papua New Guinea. It's got hints of raspberry in it, little hint of blueberry in it. So good. Love our Ethiopian. That is dangerous because if I make a full pot of Ethiopian, you can guarantee the full pot's going to be gone that day. But my absolute favorite, which debuts today, and is out on our shelves, is our Noel blend, which is our Christmas, special, it's our Christmas blend that we release every year. And I absolutely love it. My wife and I have to buy 3 or 4 bags when it comes out because we want to make sure that we have it for the next few months. And we have to be really selective of when we break it out and when we don't, because I want to be able to have some of it in January as well. So yeah. Okay.
All right. So the Papua New Guinea, the Ethiopian, and the Noel blend are your Cody endorsed three favorites.
Yes.
Okay.
I generally have.
I'm looking at some stuff here that I don't see.
Oh, I was just going to say I generally have a bag of each at home. So.
Okay. I'm looking at some of your other, excuse me, some of your guys' other roasts, and you're doing some stuff that is not that you see. It's not what you see everywhere when you look at a coffee shop. So that's kind of cool. The Mexico Rancho San Francisco. That's interesting. You've got Honduras, which is, come on, that's a pretty standard. That's a very tasty coffee. Nicaraguan. I've always enjoyed Nicaraguan coffee. I tend to like more Central and South American coffees than I do the African coffees. That's just me. But this is very cool that you guys are offering this these things. But we're going to go one step further. Now I'm going to put you on the spot. And for those of you who, because this is an audio medium, and Cody and I are of similar build.
Yes.
Right. I think we both like food. Is that a safe assumption?
100%.
Oh, and he just froze up, folks. I don't know. Cody, you just froze up. I don't know if the audio came through or not on that, but what did you say?
Just 100% I like food.
Okay. The menu. What's your go-to thing on the menu?
I am a breakfast burrito fiend. I spend entirely too much money on breakfast burritos here at the Coffee Oasis. It's bad. I mean, my wife and I look at our budget all the time and have to realize like, okay, I'm guilty. I spent way too much at work. But our breakfast burritos are amazing. We have a green eggs and ham breakfast burrito that comes out at the Christmas time, and it has pesto in it, and it is absolutely amazing. You can never go wrong with a good breakfast burrito.
Yeah, I agree. But no, you're the veggie breakfast burrito guy, right?
No.
You're not going the sausage, bacon, or ham. You're doing the veggie one, right?
No. Generally, I get a sausage breakfast burrito. Generally, I get a sausage breakfast burrito, and I add bacon to it. And then you get the best of both worlds.
I think they should put that on the menu and call it the Cody.
There would be a different burrito if they were to name one after me. There would be a different breakfast burrito, but for the sake of the people that might want to come try burritos and stuff, I don't want to mention what my burrito would be because the cafes would hate me. Okay,
gotcha. All right, yeah, I'll ask you when we're not recording.
Yeah,
and then I'll type it out below in the show notes. I won't do that. So you guys have four coffee locations, right? Yeah. 4 coffee shops.
Yes.
Did I count that right?
Yeah.
And I don't, not to put you on the spot. What does the future? What's Coffee Oasis got going in the future? Anything that you can, you mentioned Tacoma.
Yeah.
And that's Pierce County.
Yeah. I mean, the big thing right now is, getting Pierce County kind of finished up. Like I said, we have our shelter out there, which has been, pretty full, pretty consistently since it started in 2019. But now, we just bought a building and moved from where our shelter was to where our shelter is now. And, we're getting ready to build a drop-in center downstairs from the shelter, a coffee shop downstairs as well, to really get going in Pierce County, where we can offer all of the different youth programs in Pierce County that we offer here in Kitsap. Also to be able to be in the craft coffee game in Pierce County is going to be really significant. Pierce County Tacoma specifically has amazing coffee shops. And for us to be a part of that, I'm really excited for, because coffee culture is so special. It's really unique, and that if you're in it, if you're really into coffee, you're going to know that your community accepts you by the people that come in. And so I'm really excited just to hear how our coffee shop compares to the rest of the ones that are already there. Coffee shops that have been doing well, that make amazing coffee. I'm excited that we get to be a part of that. As far as Kitsap's concerned, I think at this point anything can happen. I don't have any specifics that I can talk about or ideas that we can talk about yet. I know that the big thing that people always tell me, especially people that work and live in Silverdale, they really want to see Coffee Oasis in Silverdale. I think that is something that could happen in the future. I'm not sure what that looks like or how that'll happen, but I think that's a possibility. We're always kind of expanding. We as an organization kind of blew up. We went from having one location to 3 locations in the same year. We opened 2 locations. We opened Port Orchard and Paulsbo almost at the same time, which was absolutely crazy. And then Kingston took 7 or 8 years to finally get off the ground. We just kept running into obstacle after obstacle, and the building needed to have a lot of things redone. And, speaking of businesses and business involvement, really Kingston happened because of a group of realtors. There was a steering committee that was put together in partnership with, I believe it was Windermere in Kingston, and we were able to make it happen because they wanted us to be there. And so, we were able to have 4 locations open, and then Tacoma happened really fast. It only took, I think, 2 years to get Tacoma off the ground from the ground up. Really building off the foundation that we started here in Kitsap. And the amazing thing is Kitsap and Pierce County are so different. We've really had to adjust to being in Pierce County and what Pierce County looks like. And we're really excited that we're out there and that we're a part of that community, a community that definitely cares about their young people and wants to see young people get the resources that they need. The same thing that we've seen here in Kitsap.
When I look on your website where you have your partners, so you have some people you call them restoration partners, and then transformation partners, inspiration partners, collaboration partners, formation partner. What you don't on the website, it doesn't break out what those categories actually mean.
Yeah. So
what
a lot of those,
can you elaborate on what your partners are doing?
Yeah. So a lot of those are like grants and foundations that have, we've received major amounts of funding from. Again, is a nonprofit. That's something we have to rely on. Is federal and state grants. We have multiple foundations that give to our programs as well. And so all of those are for pretty big, big gifts or grants that we've received. But I can tell you, for example, we had 16 or 17, local businesses sponsor our gala this year. Our gala is our largest fundraiser that happens here in Kitsap County. That helps us raise money for our youth programs. This year we raised $134,000 at our gala, which is the most we've ever raised.
Wow.
But with that, we had 16 or 17 sponsors with sponsoring at a total of $28,000 for that gala, which was absolutely amazing. I can tell you that Coffee and Corks, which was the same level of fundraiser that Pierce County has, they raised over $200,000 at that gala event, and had lots of businesses sponsor as well. It's been amazing to have businesses really step in, especially in the past 2 years, with COVID-19 hitting. As a nonprofit, our world was not like shattered, but, we were hit just like everybody else. And businesses really stepped up and helped provide the PPE that our youth program staff would need, and hand sanitizer, and churches did the same thing. We were able to rely on the community around us to help provide the things and funding that we would need or that we were going to lose. Because I mean, our cafes took a huge hit. We were only able to do takeout, and I mean, our flagship here in Bremerton, for example, we rely on the shipyard. The shipyard workers come in every day and fill our cafe. And the shipyard was pretty empty. I mean, there was a point where we weren't seeing a lot of people come into the cafes. But our community, especially, I know individuals have been amazing, but we've seen churches and businesses really step up and help provide funding, and by donating, whether it's funds or resources to help make what we do happen.
I'm on your website.
Yeah.
And I'm looking at a couple things. I want to make a statement, and then I want to ask a question.
Okay.
So as I'm scrolling through, there's this footer, and it's not a footer. It's a block on the site, and it says creating opportunities for youth to thrive.
Yeah.
In September 2021, partners like you helped provide 531 bed nights for youth through Hope Homes.
Yeah.
So 531 nights of sleep.
Yes.
854 youth were able to access resources and community, and 100 case management sessions. So you guys are actually impacting that's, on one hand, I want to be like excited for you. Yeah. And on the other hand, it's a very depressing stat to be excited about. It'd be wonderful if these were zero, if there wasn't a need. Yeah. So, it's bittersweet to me. But then as I scroll down a little further, and this is something I'd like you to elaborate on. There's been successes here. You guys have helped youth transition. Yeah. Give us a couple of examples. Man, one I can think of right now, we had a youth come into the shelter kind of unexpectedly. He came in, we got a phone call from somebody that knew him. But we got a phone call that he was going to come try to get into the shelter, needed a place to sleep. Relationships with family wasn't going well. Family wasn't even nearby, in fact. And he came in and had a pretty rough story. Was able to gain somewhat of a consistency by having a place to sleep at night, by being safe, by not being on the streets. And then, moving forward, that youth went through our job internship program. He did the job training classes, went through an internship, got a job, and now joined, was it the Peace Corps? No, it was, oh man. Yeah, I think it was the Peace Corps. And he's getting ready to leave after joining the Peace Corps and really kind of transitioning out of homelessness that way. Thinking about young people who we've had youth come to us because in the middle of the night they're asleep under a park bench here in Bremerton, and Bremerton PD drives through the park, sees someone asleep, goes and wakes them up. And then they hear that he's, 17 or 18, and they bring him to the shelter and say, "Hey, do you have any room?" And, we had one youth specifically who came in, really had to learn what it meant to kind of follow the rules, because he was so used to being on his own and, sleeping where he wanted and doing what he wanted. And, he ended up aging out of our program. And then after that, went back to sleeping on the streets, but continued to come to our drop-in center and get resources, and knew that he had people to talk to. And now he's living on his own. He's got an apartment. He's got a job. He's, providing for himself.
it's amazing when youth come in and they are, generally when we meet youth for the first time, they're pretty defensive. They have their guards up because they've experienced some stuff. Whether that's trauma at home, whether that's being on the streets, whether that's addiction, whether that's feeling alone, whatever that may look like. They come to us pretty guarded. And so it's our job, it's our responsibility, and I think it's our joy to really help bring those walls down and build relationships with those youth. I'm not in youth programs, but when youth come into the office, I have the responsibility. I have the pleasure of, building relationships with them by having conversations, by checking in on them. I can think of a youth who, he came to us the first time, really quiet, really reserved. He went through an extreme amount of trauma at home when he was little. He experienced a ton of trauma as a young adult, before making his way here, and, got into a relationship, moved in with that person. And then, when they split, he came back to us and, has done a really good job of finding a job. He's really opened up as far as what he wants to do, in life. He's making steps into that. He started, working on his GED, really getting to navigate those, that journey with the youth that we serve, is really exciting and kind of it makes the job that much better, right? We're not helping the youth solve a problem. We're walking through their journey with them. Yeah.
Okay. I think this is really powerful what you guys are doing as an organization. The fact that you've been doing it for over 20 years is a testament to the need, but not just that there's a need, but that you have adapted and continued to deliver services to the youth of Kitsap and now Pierce, is really very, very impressive. I applaud you for your persistence in getting hired, that you didn't get hired right away and you kept trying. And I applaud you for that. Proposing in the coffee shop. I mean, come on, man. I mean,
yeah,
that's awesome.
And it's really funny.
Where did you meet your wife at?
Oh man, I'm going to throw this out.
Where did you meet your wife?
My wife and I met on christianmingle.com.
Okay.
Yeah. So she lived in the Rochester area, here in Washington. And we dated long distance, for 2 years before I proposed. And a big part of our long distance relationship was sitting in coffee shops. I mean, I would drive to Rochester and we'd sit in a coffee shop and drink coffee for hours on end. She would do the same thing. She'd drive here and we'd go sit in a coffee shop and drink coffee and talk. And, coffee's always been kind of a thing for us. I mean, some people are really protective on what they spend their money on, and how often they allow themselves to do that. The one thing that we, don't do that with is coffee. Coffee has always been big for us, in our relationship and personally. So, and it's really funny because I'm one of 2 staff members, that have proposed to their wives in a Coffee Oasis coffee shop. And, Coffee Oasis is part of my story for a completely different reason than it is for a lot of people. Even before, I started here.
Okay. When you're not working at Coffee Oasis and I see the Seattle Kraken hat that you're wearing, what do you and your wife like to do for fun? What's besides coffee? I mean, we've already established coffee. Okay. Which thumbs up, but what else? What do you guys do for fun and excitement?
Well, we are hockey fans. We are new hockey fans, which we were lucky enough to attend a Kraken game on Halloween in very expensive seats that we did not have to pay for. And it was kind of a once in a lifetime thing. We played against the Rangers and we lost, and it was awful, but it was also amazing being there. But to be completely honest, my wife and I are homebodies. We like to spend time at home. My wife loves to read and to write. I am a person that, I love to just relax at home, but my wife and I have a strange and odd obsession with horror movies as well. We spend a lot of time watching horror movies. A lot of people think that we're weird for loving horror movies as much as we do. We're also both into true crime, her especially. And so we spend a lot of time reading and listening and watching true crime and horror stuff. It's
okay.
It kind of just is what it is, right? We have a podcast of our own about true crime and horror. Don't need to.
Oh, you do?
Yeah, we don't need to talk about that. But
what's the name of it?
It's called the Nightmare Collective.
No, come on, give a shout out. We'll put a link to it. Nightmare Collective. Yes. Okay.
All right. Yeah. So, that's what we do. We love being at home. We love being around the people that we care about and love, we're pretty easygoing. But I would say the newfound love for us, definitely is hockey.
Okay. I think there's a lot of people in the region kind of, finding that's an interesting sport to follow. I think, for me, I grew up in the Tacoma area. I lived in the Seattle Tacoma area for many, many years, moved over here to Central Washington in 2017. I worked for Starbucks. I still can't forgive Howard Schultz for selling the Sonics. I haven't watched the NBA since.
Same.
It broke my heart to see the Sonics leave.
100% the same.
I think they'll come back now that this new arena. Yeah, I think this new arena the arena will bring a team back to Seattle, and I might give them a second chance at that point. I don't know. Hockey, though, is the state has a really interesting minor league hockey system. There's a lot of youth hockey teams around the state. And here in Wenatchee, we've got a youth team, and they're the only team in the United States. They play in a Canadian league, and so they're the only U.S. team in this Canadian league.
Wow.
So it's an interesting sport. And now what I said to you before we hit record was that for me, it's hard for me to watch it on TV. And you seem to enjoy it, and that's cool. I don't know it well enough to really follow it. I watched a little bit the other night when the Kraken was playing Arizona.
Yeah.
And it was chaotic and fun, and I didn't know what the heck was going on because they didn't score a goal while I was watching. But I think our area is going to really embrace this team, and I think there's a lot of people just like you who 2021 was the year they fell in love with hockey.
Yeah,
I think that's really kind of cool.
Well, and for me, we like I told you, my wife and I were we were at work one day. Our friend is a Golden Knights fan. She came in talking trash, and my wife and I had no skin in the game. Like we were not hockey fans. But if someone's going to start talking trash to me, I'm going to start talking trash back. And so it got to the point where we were like, you know what? Okay, we should watch it. And it just so happened to be that night, the Golden Knights played against the Kraken. The Golden Knights won. It was our first. It was our first game of the season.
Yeah, I know.
And that's when my wife and I decided that we were hooked. And I started playing NHL 2K21 that night. And that's how. I mean, I was able to follow the hockey games so much easier after learning how to play it myself on a video game. So I have an idea now of like, okay, I can follow this. I feel like I'm not the noob who doesn't know anything about hockey, but still likes watching it. So you want to learn hockey.
Okay. All right.
That's the best way to learn it.
Okay. All right. I respect that. So to wrap this up, I feel like I always ask this of guests, what question should I have asked that I didn't ask?
Oh, man.
What might we have overlooked unintentionally? Anything?
I really don't think so. I mean, we covered coffee in the cafes. We covered the spectrum of youth programs that we operate. I think that we've covered everything we need to. That this is who we are, right? We love youth, ages 13 to 21.
Yeah.
We want to help them in any way we can. We want them to feel like they have a place to belong. And that every youth has a safe adult in their life. And so we want to be that for them, and help provide resources, whether that's a place to sleep or clothes or food or a shower or laundry or just someone to talk to.
Okay. And we'll put some links to your guys' website and all that in the show notes so people can go and click on it, take a look. You've done, like, as an organization, you've done a really nice job of explaining things online too. Yeah. So we'll put links to that. I'm going to ask you, once we're not recording, what your breakfast burrito is of choice. Yes. I might share it public. No, I'm just kidding. I wouldn't do that.
Yeah, don't do that. Don't do that.
But I appreciate you yeah. Cody told me to say this. Won't do that. No, I promise you. Anyway, I appreciate you taking the time today to share Coffee Oasis story and that. And I'm really pleased with what you guys are doing, and I look forward to more continued success for the organization.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me and being a part of this. I love being able to tell the story of Coffee O and what we're doing. So thank you.
Awesome.
Join us next time for another episode of the Exploring Washington State podcast.